I have been thinking about the story in Final Fantasy XIV, especially after patch 7.3, and I was thinking to myself, have the villains in 14 gotten a little similar in comparison? Now, I'm primarily talking about the villains that were present in the past 3 expansions, and the villains we're working with are Emet-Selch, Elidibus, Meteion, Golbez, Sphene, and Calyx. We're not including Zoraal among these big names, but we'll get to that. Never mind this guy, because he's not really worth talking about in this topic, but he'll be an example later. So let's begin with the summary of every single villain. Emet-Selch is an Ascian that doesn't behave like all the other Ascians. He's charming, witty, and deeply human in his demeanor and mannerisms. He shows sarcasm, humor, even empathy, yet remains devoted to his goal no matter what. He serves as the main antagonist in Shadowbringers, accompanying the Warrior of Light and the Scions while testing them, with his motivation being grief, the goal of reuniting sundered souls of his people, believing their sacrifice is worth the countless lives lost in the process.
Let us imagine that the laws of reality are again undone and the world faces true annihilation. Do you honestly believe that half your number would sacrifice themselves to save the other? Of course they wouldn't!
Elidibus is also an Ascian, playing as the mediator to speak for the group. He acts as the guiding force for the Ascians' plans, manipulating events in the background to bring about the rejoining. He plays as the central antagonist in the patch quests for Shadowbringers, and it was obviously going to be difficult to outclass Emet-Selch, but I believe Elidibus was such a grandiose villain altogether.
The rains have ceased, and we have been graced with another beautiful day. But you are not here to see.
A tragic figure that was quieter than Emet-Selch. Meteion is a creation of Hermes. Originally intended as a seeker of knowledge, her exposure to the despair of countless civilizations across the universe transforms her drastically. She is the main antagonist of Endwalker, hiding away while everyone focuses on the power couple till otherwise. While initially being an innocent and curious child, Meteion turns distant and fatalistic after absorbing the cosmos' grief, seeking to end all life so that no one will suffer that anymore.
One day, life will fill the universe again, and Hermes will see this and smile. How, I do not know, but I do know that where there is a will, there is a way. After all, miracles happen every day, do they not?
Once a man of the 13th, he became a Voidsent after its fall. Unlike most Voidsent who are mindlessly predatory, Golbez retained his intelligence, will, and ambition, seeking to bring order to the chaotic void. His ultimate goal is to open a gateway between the void and the source, not just to invade, but to secure the void's future, and to grant people the ability to die, simply meaning the ability to live normally instead of living till insanity strikes.
With that ether, Zeromus could be conceived, and driven by the dragon's longing for home, it shall soon arise to destroy the barrier between worlds. Thus will the way open to the promised land, and the death we have been too long denied. Thus will I, Golbez, bring salvation to all!
The Queen of Reason of Alexandria, introduced to us as a charming little ally only to be revealed that she is an AI or simulacrum, who governs while the real Sphene lies dormant. The simulacrum becomes antagonistic when it pursues the goals that risk the lives of all beings on all shards, going out of her way to try to invade all worlds to take their ether to increase the longevity of the Alexandrians' lives. She is also labeled as a sympathetic villain and not a malevolent one, trapped between reason and compassion.
For hundreds of years I tried, but it was all to no avail. My benevolence did naught to protect my realm. But I can still take up arms and fight. If bloodshed will save my subjects, then I will become history's most brutal queen.
Calyx is the leader of preservation, promoting the use of memory regulators and the endless system where citizens' souls are stored after death, ultimately opposed by the Warrior of Light and allies when his vision of preservation crosses into fanaticism. He reflects the dangers of idealism turned rigid obsession. Unlike villains fueled by grief, duty, or despair, Calyx represents control and denial of death. He's a mirror to Alexandria's brilliance and hubris.
The ignorance is almost laughable. You do not understand that you yourselves are to blame. You brought death to my creation. What do you suppose happens when a being manifested by the fear of dying experiences that terror firsthand? It grows stronger.
None of these villains are carbon copies of one another, but they do share the same concept of doing things for their people or for the supposed greater good, for their people. I'll give Emet-Selch and Elidibus the pass since that was the entire motivation and goal of the Ascians as a whole. Meteion was a creation of the Ascians before they were called Ascians, but her reason was simply to not let people get hit by the big sad. Golbez wanted to liberate his people from the darkness and let them feel the sweet embrace of getting game ended. Sphene wanted to take the souls of the other shards to keep her people away from the sweet embrace of getting game ended, and Calyx wants the exact same thing as Sphene. Next thing you know, the next villain is going to want to do something with, oh wait, never mind, the next villain is an Ascian, so we're going back to that whole arc again, unless this Ascian has other plans in mind. Who knows, maybe the whole point of this entire cliffhanger is to make people think of one thing only for a total other thing to come through. Anyways, you can kinda already see the common threads between the characters, such as noble or sympathetic motives. They all want to protect, preserve, or end suffering in some way. Rigid devotion. Each clings to an ideal so strongly that it twists into something destructive. A tragedy of perspective. They aren't wrong per se, but they refuse to see alternative paths. Humanity in villainy. The game wants you to understand them, even pity them, which makes defeating them bittersweet. Well, more or less. But I remember when it also felt good to beat a villain regardless of their supposed goal or perspective. Nidhogg, for example, is one of my favorite villains because he simply is a big hater. Not as if it wasn't warranted, because, well, they murdered his sister, but his motivations go far and beyond the original goal of avenging his sister. It's more so that he wants to terminate all who reside in Ishgard, maybe even beyond. Zenos, while not being a villain I particularly like, is a character that has a strong drive to be challenged and, god fucking damn it, and feel the thrill of overcoming challenge, which is relatable since we also feel that sense of drive whenever we get ourselves into difficulty in real life when we're playing a game, especially in this game when we overcome a grinding challenge or completion of savage or ultimate content.
Acceptance! At long last!
I truly believe this expansion had to have Zoraal Ja as the main villain of this entire story. Sure, a character having daddy issues might be a bit lame, but what if we added just a little hint of spice with this narrative? Zoraal sees himself as the right heir to the throne, and he is absolutely insulted that his own flesh and blood pits him against other people who are not his own biological children against him to succeed the legacy. And when you think about it, it is extremely disheartening to imagine your biological parent loving adopted children just as much as they love you, if not a little bit more, which drives him to get more and more powerful via the path he had taken, to have enough power to be stronger than the blessed siblings Bakul and Gulul, to be smarter than Kona, and well, he's already stronger than Wuk-Lamat, but that's besides the point. See how a simple narrative shift made this entire character just that much more interesting and relatable without the continuous trope of doing something for one's own people and instead a goal for something selfish? Like, the whole concept of a villain doesn't have to be something grand. It can be something as simple as family drama. But of course, this whole family drama kind of blows out of proportion, but it's pretty interesting. Especially with this fucking music, like, come on.
You are no match for me.
Come at me with your all. I will make you kneel.
I understand that 14 builds its major villains as mirrors of the Warrior of Light and humanity itself, showing how admirable qualities can curdle into destructive ones if pushed too far. But if the motive changes, maybe then the villains won't be as predictable or cookie cutter as they seem. Each of these villains have a charm, that is 100% for sure, but I can't help but feel they are all kind of, homogenized to a degree. You've gotta be fucking kidding me.